Sometimes I wake up and wonder, when did we start calling the same old tricks by new names? We like to think we move forward, that the worst of the past is buried in history books. But the truth is, a lot of it never went away. It just learned how to dress differently. If you go back about 150 years right after the Civil War, America was in a moment that could have gone a completely different way. Black Americans were finally free. They weren't just surviving, they were voting. They were winning elections. They were stepping into power. A man named Hiram Revels, a black man, sitting in the United States Senate, black leaders running state governments in the South, passing laws, rebuilding communities that slavery had tried to destroy. It was progress, real progress, and it happened fast. And you can imagine how the people who had always held power reacted. They couldn't stand it. That's where the Ku Klux Klan came in. We've been taught to picture them as just an angry mob in white robes, but they were more than chaos. They were a strategy. They didn't just burn crosses for the sake of it. They burned down black churches to break communities. They didn't just threaten politicians. They killed them. Teachers, too, especially the ones teaching newly freed black kids. And most importantly, they attacked the vote. Because here's the thing. It's one thing to kill a person, but if you can kill their political power, if you can make the ballot itself a death sentence, then you can stop an entire community from shaping its own future. And the law back then, it either turned a blind eye or it joined in. Now, here's where a lot of people make the mistake of thinking the Klan mostly disappeared. They didn't. The hoods came off, but the playbook stayed. The methods just got cleaner, quieter, and easier to pass off as normal politics. Today, they don't ride in on horses with torches. They redraw district maps in secret rooms and call it redistricting. They don't set fire to ballot boxes, and they close polling stations, especially in black and brown neighborhoods. They say it's about budget cuts or preventing fraud. They pass voter ID laws that make it harder for students to vote but easier for gun owners. They claim it's all about fairness, but the mission hasn't changed. Keep political power out of the hands of black, brown, and poor Americans. And there's proof everywhere. In 2013, the Supreme Court case Shelby County versus Holder gutted key parts of the Voting Rights Act, and almost immediately states like Georgia started shutting down polling places, over 200 of them, mostly in black areas. North Carolina got caught literally designing voting districts so white Republicans could win more seats with fewer votes. Texas made voter ID mandatory, but excluded student IDs while allowing gun licenses. Florida told people who had served their prison sentences they could vote again, but only if they paid hidden court fees first. And here's the ugly truth. That's not policy. That's voter sabotage. The rope is still there. It's just invisible now, and the drop is longer. And it doesn't stop at the ballot box. This same mindset, the one that says keep the power for us and take it from them, bleeds into everything else. They rewrite history books so kids never learn the truth. They ban certain authors. They make it illegal for teachers to talk about certain parts of history. They pass laws that make protesting dangerous, even for peaceful citizens. It's all connected. They flood local elections with money from faraway billionaires. They redraw maps so carefully it's like surgery, and then deny they're doing anything wrong. They do it while waving American flags and quoting Bible verses, like that somehow blesses the corruption. But the intent is the same as it was in 1870. Keep the same people in power at all costs. Back then, the hoods hid their faces because their intentions were too obvious. Now they don't cover their faces because their intentions are covered instead, wrapped in polite language, dressed in process and procedure. And while all that's happening with voting rights, there's something else going on, something that hits even harder for regular people, because at the same time they're making it harder for ordinary citizens to vote. They're also making it harder for them to live. Look at what's been happening with the economy and laws in recent years. We're told we're living in the richest country in history, yet somehow there's no money for universal health care, no money to fix schools, no money to feed hungry children. But there's always money for war, always money for corporate bailouts, always money to give tax breaks to billionaires who already have more than they could spend in 10 lifetimes. They gut child tax credits that help struggling families. They dismantle affordable health care bit by bit. They make student loan relief vanish like it was never promised. They weaken labor protection so corporations can squeeze every last drop out of workers without consequence. And then they have the nerve to point at the stock market going up as if that's proof everything's fine. The Dow Jones can't feed a child. It can't pay rent. It can't make insulin affordable. But in their world, as long as their yacht gets another upgrade, the system is working. They say these things are just fiscal policy, but let's call it what it is: economic violence. It's looting, done through laws instead of breaking into stores. They know you're too busy, too tired, too stressed trying to get by, and they're counting on that. This isn't just politics. This is a war over who gets to shape the future, and they've decided it's not you. Think about it. They blame teachers, journalists, immigrants, poor people, the sick, anyone but the ones actually hoarding the power and the wealth. They spoon feed people outrage every morning and tell them exactly who to hate. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're writing laws that protect themselves, even giving themselves the ability to send citizens to offshore prisons if their protests get too loud. That's not just anti-democratic, that's authoritarian. And the scary part is, they're not even pretending to hide it anymore. They'll tell you outright that democracy is inefficient, that it's a mistake, that power should be in the hands of a few smart people. Strip away the branding and you're left with the same thing that's always been there: control. Right now, America isn't being brought down by an outside enemy. It's happening from within. A man who started with $400 million, went bankrupt 6 times, has a long record of lies, criminal convictions, and even a court judgment for sexual assault, has somehow convinced millions of people that he's a brilliant leader and master negotiator. If this were the plot of a film, most of us would call it far-fetched and unrealistic. We'd expect the public to step in and stop it, just like many once assumed the Germans would stop Hitler before he gained power and carried out mass atrocities. But this isn't a movie. It's real, it's happening now, and time is running out. The courts are in his corner, and even the judges seem too afraid to challenge him. And here's where it comes full circle. The same mentality that once sent men on horseback with torches is now sitting in Congress, in state legislatures, in corporate boardrooms. It's wearing suits, shaking hands, smiling for cameras, but the mission is the same. The question is, how much longer are we going to pretend it's not? Because whether it's shutting down polling stations, carving up districts, cutting social programs, or rewriting history, it's all one system with one goal: to make sure that ordinary people never have the power to truly change the country. And if we don't see it, if we keep falling for the new names they give the same old tricks, then we're not just losing elections, we're losing the very idea of democracy itself. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you in the next video.